Hey, what's going on, everybody? Max here with BB, and today for 10 Minutes Max, we're going to be talking about two of my favorite coins, Andy and Wolf. Guys, I get so many questions about Andy and Wolf. Max, what do you think about Andy and Wolf?
Max, Andy and Wolf are cooked.
Max, is the correlation to Pepe and the broader market broken?
Max, are we still on track?
Max, I'm gonna panic sell.
We're going to talk about all of that today, and I'm going to just start responding to people with a link to this video and say, watch it and you decide, because guys, things look really interesting right now. We are at the very tail end of September, heading into Q4, which is seasonally the best time to be invested in crypto and altcoins more specifically. In order to fully understand whether you should be holding Andy and Wolf, or whether it's still a good play, it requires a more comprehensive and thorough approach. I can't just pull up the Andy and Wolf chart because that's only part of the thesis. It's only one tiny little part of this global play, which is actually kind of a macro play, which we're going to get into. Let me ask you this question. How many chairs are you sitting in right now? Are you sitting in one chair? Are you sitting in two chairs? How many microphones am I using? I mean, really think about it, guys. Do you hedge your chair? Do you hedge your microphone? I mean, think about it. What are we doing here? Let's dive into it, guys. Here we are looking at ETH, guys. I don't actually even really want to start with ETH, but I'm just going to show you ETH quick, and then we're going to get into the whole thesis, okay? And I think a video like this, for some of you, may just serve as a reminder where you're like, I already know this stuff, Max, but like, let me see some beautiful charts. And some other people, maybe this is brand new. Either way, it doesn't matter. Let's get into it. ETH has been stuck under this level for 4 years, okay? For 4 years. It was stuck under this level right here. Somewhere between 3,900 and 4,100, depending on how you want to draw it. We recently just flipped back above it, and it looks like, to me, we just had a weekly time frame retest of the most important SR level, support and resistance level, on the entire chart. Okay, zooming in just a little bit on that level. To me, that looks like a textbook retest right there. And again, this was, just for those that maybe don't realize it, we basically swept the previous all-time high, rejected off of it, which is not uncommon at all. Bitcoin did the same thing and went to like 73K, so a little more than a sweep, but it's not uncommon for an asset to curl up, sweep the previous all-time high, reject locally, and then go on its merry way and go into price discovery. The chart is lining up perfectly for ETH specifically, because you have seasonality coming into effect in a couple days. The calendar rolls over from Q3 into Q4, September, which is historically, and seasonally a bad month, into a good month being October, which is then a part of an even better, bigger quarter. So the chart looks like this. It looks like we had a nasty drop deviation into our red box, which is the most important SR level on the chart. And we're going to work our way up, and I think most likely do something like this, probably here, push up here, drop back down, and then sometime early October, we'll start ripping, right? No one knows exactly how it's going to look, but all I know is keep it simple, guys. Keep it simple. Resistance. We flip it. Now it's support. Until you lose that level, I don't want to hear about it. Things look totally fine. Things look really bullish. This is most likely going to end up being some high time frame pivot and swing low set in the very tail end last week of Q3 as we transition into Q4. Now we're going to get into the important part of the video. Okay, that was important to just kind of set the stage a little bit. Like, ETH is flirting with price discovery, but it hasn't quite jumped off the high dive yet. Okay, it hasn't quite gone in. It hasn't really done it yet, but it's about to, most likely. Okay, now there's something out there that it's a precursor for Ethereum price discovery. Now, really quick, because I know there's a couple of you out there that are like, I tuned in for Andy and Wolf. What is this? Hang with me. It's all coming full circle. I promise you that, okay? This is one giant trade. They're not even meme coins. They're Forex pairs. And I'm going to explain to you how interconnected Andy and Wolf are, little Andy and Wolf are, to the global macro scene. Okay, it is all connected. And this is a crucial part to understanding it so that you can feel comfortable in making your own investment decisions. Okay, I'm just narrating what's actually driving it, what you need to look out for. It's going to make perfect sense. Okay, there is something that is a precursor for Ethereum price discovery, and it is US small caps. Okay, I made a video on this recently, so we're not going to go too deep on it, but I need to show you this before we continue to work our way down. So we're going to look at IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF, guys. This is US small cap companies. This is not Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, Google. This is small, more speculative companies, okay? Small caps. Think of this as total 2 or total 3. Probably more like total 3. Think of this as total 3 of equity land, okay? When the stock bros and the hedge funds and, all the guys that have been trading equities for decades, day traders, whoever, when they want to go out on the risk curve and they want to bet on crazy volatility, this is their playground, okay? And I guess somewhat recently, most of the volatility has been in like 7 names, but historically speaking, this is the shitcoin casino of equity land, okay? Now, we're going to do this. We're going to put down ETH below here, all right? Hang with me, guys. Let's change the color, make it beautiful. Okay. ETH down below, US small caps up top. Okay. Let's mark out some previous all-time highs. We'll just do this quickly, okay? Previous all-time high. Previous all-time high. And then more recently, previous all-time high. Now, you could say we swept it there. We did sweep it, but that doesn't really count. Like a real price discovery, okay? Charging higher in price discovery. Now let's mark out the Russell 2000's price discovery, all right? So going back here, previous all-time high. Going back here, previous all-time high. Going back here, previous all-time high, and we had a couple sweeps, but that doesn't count, okay? Now let's mark out when both of these have gone into price discovery, okay? Which again, go watch my previous video. It's typically QQQ price discovery, then SPX price discovery, then US small caps price discovery. I'm not going to go all the way down, but just understand that not only is IWM a prerequisite for Ethereum price discovery, but there are also prerequisites for IWM price discovery. When I say prerequisite, it's like anything can happen, but historically speaking, one thing typically happens before the other, okay? IWM price discovery in red. IWM price discovery in red. And IWM price discovery, kinda, not quite, almost there. Looks like we're a week away. Very close. Now let's mark out Ethereum price discovery, and we will mark this out in blue. Ethereum price discovery, Ethereum price discovery, and maybe Ethereum price discovery? Maybe. Not quite yet. Almost there. So IWM, US small caps, they're getting frothy. They are reaccumulating right under the previous all-time high, very similar to that of Ethereum. And as you can see, based on the previous 2 cycles, US small caps have led Ethereum into price discovery by a very small margin of time, okay? So now that we understand that, 1, Ethereum looks really good, okay? It's most likely going into price discovery next quarter at some point, okay? And I think probably towards the earlier half. 2, IWM has once again swept the previous all-time high and is just chop solidating. It is right there. It's like one day could roll the next and we could be well on our way, right? We are so close, okay? IWM typically is a prerequisite for Ethereum price discovery. Now let's talk about what Ethereum is typically a prerequisite, or precursor maybe is the better word for it. I'm going to start using precursor. And Ethereum is typically a precursor for what? For Doge. Let's pull up ETH down below. Actually, I'll just do it this way. Make it easier on myself. Copy that. Paste that. It's already got the colors. Okay. Now we're going to mark out the Ethereum all-time highs again. Okay. Previous all-time high for Ethereum. Previous all-time high for Ethereum. And previous all-time high for Ethereum. Now, this is Doge up top, and I'll actually just make this gold real quick, just so nobody forgets. I like to utilize the colors so it is so simple to follow, because some of this stuff can be a little bit difficult. Okay, so credit to you guys for tuning in. I know these are not your normal videos, just bull flag, higher. It's very intricately mapped out. But this, understanding this stuff is the difference between being able to hold something with conviction and not shake yourself out because you're being emotional, which we are not going to do. We are not fans of that strategy here. Now, let's mark out Ethereum all-time high breaks. There's the Ethereum all-time high break, the first cycle. Ethereum all-time high break of the second cycle. And we are almost there, not quite, right? You know, we just talked about it. We're pretty close, right? So let's just rewind it just a second, okay? Let's just go backwards in time. IWM, and I'll make this red so it matches the line. IWM, US small caps, typically goes into price discovery a little bit before Ethereum, okay? Just a little bit. And arguably it already kind of did. Like it's similarly positioned. IWM typically goes into price discovery just a little bit before Ethereum, okay? Ethereum typically goes into price discovery a little bit before Doge. Let's mark out when Doge has finally gone into price discovery. There's the Doge all-time high break. There's the Doge all-time high break, and not quite there yet, right? But I think what you're hopefully understanding at this point in the video is you're understanding that it is all connected, okay? How back in 2017, when Ethereum was 10 to 20 bucks and Doge was 0.00022, not even a penny, a 100th of a 50th or 100th of a penny. How is it possible that these two assets, which again, now they're kind of titans, at the time were very far from being titans, how could they trade and have perfect correlation with an all-time high break of a multi-hundred billion, or I'm sorry, I don't even know what it was back here, but $1 trillion index? I don't know what the market cap of the whole Russell 2000 is. Forgive me. It's a lot, right? How is it possible that back here, IWM breaks all-time high? Shortly after that triggers Ethereum going from 20 bucks to 1,200 bucks, okay? And then after that, Doge goes from, a fraction of a penny up, 20x to then ultimately, almost 100x, 90x, right? In the year following. It is all connected, even in their infancy, even when Doge was a baby, even when Ethereum was a baby. In their infantile state, way back when, they were both correlated to IWM, US small caps going to price discovery. Now, why is that? Because beta is beta. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how small it is, how young it is. Beta is beta. When the conditions are primed for people to move down the risk curve, for capital to move down the risk curve, it finds risk wherever there is risk to offer. And yes, Doge down here was a baby. Ethereum down here, highly speculative baby. But they both caught a bid because at the time they were both beta. I would argue they've now kind of both graduated within their own pond, within their, their own crypto niche. They've kind of graduated within crypto to being alphas. At the time, it was just They're little infantile beta plays, right? But they triggered an all-time high breakout right as IWM was breaking out. So again, IWM broke out here November 14th of 2016. I'll mark it out here. November 14th, basically right here. This was the IWM break. So IWM goes into price discovery, then Ethereum, then Doge. Beta is beta, right? And then, what it really comes down to is like, yeah, beta is beta, right? But which beta is going to outperform the most? Which one has the best potential risk-adjusted returns? Which one has something to fall back on? Which one is the safest, right? That's the big decision to make. Beta is beta, and this is what I'm showing you right here, okay? This is what I'm showing you. For multiple cycles, beta has been beta, and this cycle will be no different. Beta will be beta. Now let's dive in to Andy and Wolf, okay? This is a complex chart that we have here, okay? So up top, we have Doge. Down below it, we have Pepe. Down below that, we have Andy. Down below that, we have Wolf, okay? Now, what you'll notice about these charts is that, for one, they all look the exact same. They all pump together. They all dump together. I mean, structures are unbelievably similar, right? Unbelievably similar. We've talked about this at length. I mean, look at the highs, right? Here's the all-time highs. This wasn't Doge's because, Doge had a previous cycle where Pepe didn't, Andy didn't, Wolf didn't, right? These were the recent, 365-day highs, okay? They all sell off together, right? Then even the substructure recently, same highs, all the way down to these little micro drops, right? Unbelievable. It's literally the same thing. Okay. So really quick visual. You're looking at Doge, the king of meme coins. You're looking at Pepe, the prince of meme coins this cycle, right? The up-and-comer for the king spot, okay? The prince. Then you're looking at Andy and Wolf, which are like really good friends of the prince, right? They don't have the responsibility of being royalty, but they certainly benefit from the promotion, right? You go from prince to king, you bring your friends with you, right? You bring your friends with you. So what I need everybody to understand here is, we were just looking at this example over here, right? We were looking at these two, okay? We'll spend a little more time focusing on last cycle, perhaps. So IWM breaks and goes into price discovery November 9th of 2020. So November 9th, 2020, IWM last cycle goes into price discovery. Then Ethereum goes into price discovery. Then Doge goes into price discovery, okay? So keep in mind, Pepe was born right here in the middle of the bear market. Andy was born right here after the Pepe pump. And Wolf was born after the Andy pump, right? So Pepe and Andy and Wolf didn't even exist for all of this, right? Pepe existed for, Doge marking off the bear market bottom. Andy and Wolf were born at the top of Pepe's 10x. They didn't even benefit from that, right? They didn't even benefit from that. They caught big moves after the fact, but they didn't benefit directly from this initial launch off the bear market low, which was a huge repricing, not just for something like Doge, but for everything in crypto. So let's just talk about this a little bit more. We'll just kind of summarize everything again. IWM goes into price discovery. Then Ethereum goes into price discovery. Then Doge goes into price discovery. Capital works its way down the risk curve, right? Capital works its way down the risk curve. Andy and Wolf and Pepe here specifically are like trading Doge somewhere back in here or somewhere back in here. Doesn't really matter, however you want to view it. Early cycle, right? Early lifetime cycle, right? They haven't had an IWM all-time high break yet. They haven't had an Ethereum all-time high break yet. They haven't seen any of the conditions that are necessary and prime for beta to catch a rotation. So, in a way, if you were holding Doge down in here, right? You were holding Doge down in here, and you were getting chopped up, from your all-time high. You were down, let's take a measurement. This was last cycle. You were down at 1.93% from your all-time high. Oh, we pumped finally and sell off. Oh, we pumped finally, sell off. Oh, we pumped finally, slow bleed. Oh, here it comes and slow bleed. And these are huge moves, right? This is like a 50% drop right here. Okay? Look at that. 55% drop. I can guarantee you that people holding Doge here, this was not easy to hold through these multiple 45, 55, 65, 90% drops. But if you understood what you were looking at, and you understood the real trigger for Doge last cycle, you would have been okay weighing the pros and cons of holding something as high beta as Doge. Because you would have said to yourself, okay, so I know that typically, based on the first cycle over here, I'm going to need US small caps and price discovery. Because that means that ETH is most likely going to go into price discovery, which then means Doge is most likely going to go into price discovery, right? So if you were holding Doge down in here and you didn't understand what you were looking at or what you were trading or what the real trigger was for your trade to play out, no doubt you would have gotten shaken out in any of these drops, any of them. And I think that's what's happening to a lot of people over here with Andy and Pepe and Wolf specifically. They recognize to a degree what they're holding. They say, I recognize I'm holding, these comic book character memes that are all, I've been told they're kind of correlated to each other and they'll pump when ETH pumps, but ETH has pumped recently. But my bags haven't pumped recently. What gives? Well, what gives is, again, this is the last time I'll go back here, as I've done it a few times. I don't mean to beat a dead horse here or be a broken record. ETH has pumped. Why haven't my bags pumped yet? Because your beta is waiting. It's waiting very patiently for IWM to go into price discovery, which will then trigger an Ethereum tsunami. And when that happens, the Ethereum tsunami is going to trigger the Doge tsunami. Now, if you were holding something like Doge last cycle, we just went over how crazy these drops were, right? And you were having a tough time stomaching these pullbacks, and for good reason, right? You could have been saying to yourself last cycle with Doge, hey, what gives? Look at Ethereum is ripping. Who even cares about the percentage? Ethereum is ripping. And Doge is literally just chopping sideways. Even had a 50% pullback during that time. 53% pullback after a huge pump. So ETH is ripping and Doge is just chopping sideways. Look at this is going up and this is just some disgusting range, right? See the difference? Channel up range with horrible pullbacks. if you didn't understand last cycle what you were holding and what the true inherent trigger of it was, you wouldn't have been able to stomach it. Because one day turns to the next. IWM goes into price discovery. Capital flows down the risk curve. Then Ethereum goes into price discovery. Then something like Doge goes into price discovery. So on and so forth. If you had known the entire time last cycle, hey, I have a very specific set of criteria for Doge. I'm fine holding beta. It's volatile, it's choppy, but I recognize that I need two things to happen first before invalidating my thesis. I need US small caps in price discovery, and I need Ethereum in price discovery. And if my criteria has been met, meaning both US small caps and Ethereum are both in price discovery, and Doge is not in price discovery, then something is inherently wrong with my beta. Because my beta has everything that it needs to pump, and it's not. So we fast forward in time, okay? And we're looking at virtually the same setup. IWM getting close, Ethereum getting close, Doge still well under the all-time high, just like it was over here. Again, look at ETH moving higher, just like this. ETH moving higher, while Doge is just in this disgusting range, right? It's the exact same thing. It is the same thing that we've seen in previous cycles, right? How about over here? Ethereum moving higher. Doge in a disgusting sideways range, right? Look at that, moving higher. Doge moving sideways. You know, in every cycle before the blue line, obviously we had the red line, right? I didn't put them all in the same chart because it gets really cluttered. I wanted you to be able to see the price action a little bit. But you get the point. Ethereum goes up. Why is my beta not moving? Then one day rolls to the next. ETH and price discovery. We rip thousands of %. One day rolls to the next. Why is my beta not moving? We go thousands of % higher. Why is my beta not moving? One day Ethereum goes into price discovery. We go thousands of % higher. I don't know if Doge will go thousands of %. I could see a 10x though. I could. Now, a lot of people right now are holding Pepe, Andy, and Wolf. And they are saying to themselves, Ethereum is moving higher. Why is my meme coin? Why is my beta not moving higher? They've been underperforming. What gives, Max? Well, what gives is that IWM has not quite gone into price discovery yet, which is typically a precursor for Ethereum going into price discovery. And Ethereum going into price discovery is typically a precursor for Doge heating up. And what do we know about the relationship between Doge and Pepe and Andy and Wolf? They move together, but the beta is layered. Let's do a quick example. This pump here for Doge, the first pump, right? The big pump. Doge went up 3x, okay, 200%. Pepe went up 11x, 12x. Andy didn't even exist yet, okay? But you see the beta relationship. We'll do some more where they all had existed, okay? Let's do a different example that has Andy and Wolf included because, you know, they're obviously much younger. Let's do like this pump, okay? Pump into a dump so I can show both, okay? Doge from this low rallied 55%. Pepe from this low rallied 72%. Andy from this low rallied 175%. Wolf from this low, rallied 300%. Okay. How about, how about from these lows? Let's just do another one. Wolf, 400%. Andy, 300%. Pepe, 87%. And Doge, looks like that was the low right there, 40%. The charts move identically together, time and time and time again. That's what they do. So these charts all move together. Doge triggers a rotation down the meme risk curve into the prince of this cycle being Pepe. Pepe triggers a rotation into a close friend of the prince named Andy. So when Doge heats up, Pepe heats up. When Pepe heats up, Andy heats up. When Andy heats up, another friend of the prince named Wolf heats up. And they move percentage-wise, respectively, based on their market cap and their on-chain liquidity. All these little factors, but they're all beta. It's beta stacked. So what you're actually trading here, if we again go all the way back to the beginning, when maybe you were wondering, why the heck are we talking about large caps and US equities? Because Ethereum trades like beta to US small caps, right? The IWM is in red. When the IWM goes into price discovery, it triggers an Ethereum rotation. Beta. Ethereum has been beta to US small caps. Okay? So Ethereum goes into price discovery after IWM goes into price discovery. Doge goes into price discovery after Ethereum goes into price discovery. And after IWM goes into price discovery and Ethereum goes into price discovery, then Doge goes into price discovery, and then that trickle-down effect slides right into the beta of beta of beta that has been perfectly correlated to one another. Positive, perfect positive correlation through horrible, gruesome pullbacks for over 18 months, all of them together. So you understand, it does not matter what the market cap of your beta is right now. It doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter about the centralized exchange listings or lack thereof. None of that matters at all. Because the proof of that it does not matter, is going back here to the very first cycle. If I can even go on the 1 hour time frame, if I can even go that far back, which of course I can't, let me try the 4 hour time frame. The IWM back in 2016 through 2017, Ethereum was sub $20, and its bull market was perfectly ignited, perfectly, by IWM leading into price discovery. Ethereum went on to go 5,000% in less than a year. Parabolic face-ripping rally. And then Doge at the time. Let's put up Doge's market cap. Why is it not there? It doesn't let me go back that far. I'm gonna even look it up right now. Give me a second. Doge's market cap in January 2017. One moment. Doge's market cap right here in January of 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put this up on the chart because you need to understand what is about to happen. You need to fully grasp it. Because they're too small. Oh, I don't trust them. Oh, I don't get it. Let me help you get it, okay? This was Doge, okay? Over a year's worth of reaccumulation, chop, bleed, nothing. The market cap of Doge right here was 25 million, okay? Doge's market cap was 25 million. So a 25 million market cap shitcoin caught a beta rotation along with Ethereum, which was under $20 here. It was nothing but speculation. As soon as US small caps went into price discovery. And Doge went up almost 100x in the year following. And Ethereum went up like 40x, okay? So people will look at Andy and Wolf and they just simply do not understand what they are even holding. This right here is no different than Doge in here. Horrible, grueling pullbacks. Then IWM goes into price discovery and ETH goes into price discovery. Doge was 25 million market cap right here. Andy and Wolf are both higher than that right now. Both of them. I'll even do this again right here on the same chart because I care that much. I need you to understand. Like the video if we're cooking. Like the video. Smash the video, guys. I need everyone to understand this. I take it personally because people are denied this information. They don't understand what they're holding. They listen to people that are not traders or investors. I need you to give yourself a fighting chance here. Okay. Going back 2 cycles. Here's the Doge all-time high. Here is the IWM all-time high. Here, I'll actually do it the same way. Here is the Ethereum all-time high. So look at this. IWM price discovery. Ethereum price discovery. And then Doge price discovery. And it ripped thousands of percent even just to get up there, right? Do you see the rotation? But look at these grueling pullbacks you had to hold through. Then you had to hold through ETH ripping from $6 up to $20 and Doge did nothing. And then one day rolls to the next and they go. Let's keep it moving. Next cycle. IWM all-time high. Ethereum all-time high. Doge all-time high. Here's IWM breaking the all-time high. Here is Ethereum breaking the all-time high. And here is Doge breaking the all-time high. Do you see? Now, let's talk about what's going to happen this cycle. IWM all-time high. We are days away. Ethereum all-time high. And Doge all-time high. With Pepe, Andy, and Wolf below. So what we are going to see is the following, and it will happen quickly. IWM price discovery. Ethereum price discovery. And then you will see Doge, Pepe, Andy, and Wolf all collectively rip thousands of percent because beta is beta. You are trading a 6 times removed derivative of the NASDAQ, the S&P, and US small caps. You need to understand what you're holding. So I'm going to end with this question to you. If the IWM US small caps have not gone into price discovery yet, okay, if US small cap companies have not gone into price discovery yet, and Ethereum has not gone into price discovery yet, then does it make sense as a logical investor to sell your beta before those two things happen? You can decide for yourself. You can decide for yourself. Because I know what is possible, and I understand what the dynamite is. I understand what the fuse is to ignite these charts. You need to understand what you're holding. Your invalidation is not as simple as, oh, price is down, I'm feeling emotional, they'll never pump again. I will tell you this right now. If IWM and ETH are in price discovery, and Doge, Pepe, Andy Wolf, or any of the individuals that I just said within the broader meme sector are not ripping face shortly after, Houston, we have a problem. But I think the odds of that are so incredibly low because I go back to the very first cycle when ETH was a little baby and Doge was flatline doing nothing, little baby, 25 mil market cap. And IWM triggered a tsunami into both of them because beta is beta. Beta is beta. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the best beta. It's the safest beta because of the correlations, because how they're all tied together. Most memes, they will pump. It's not a guarantee. To be fair, nothing is. But from a probability standpoint, looking at all of these charts, seeing how they move together, I like my money in concentrated in high beta plays. I can stomach the volatility that have strong positive correlations, not only to each other, but to the broader market and global assets. And ladies and gentlemen, what I present to you again right here is precisely that. Everybody thinks they have a stomach for volatility, and then volatility hits them in the face, and they don't. But the ones that understand the importance of the real trigger, which is US small caps going into price discovery and Ethereum going into price discovery, both of those two incredibly important, irrefutable facts that need to happen for your beta to pump, having neither of them having hit yet, should very clearly answer the question as to what you should be viewing, what you should be doing. Things can change very quickly. You need to understand what you're holding. And we are getting very, very close, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time.